California cooking, fall is here. It's time to get cozy, and nothing screams cozy like a warm bowl of soup paired with a comforting sandwich. Let's start with a Southwest corn chowder with the chipotle shrimp and poblano quesadilla. The author of the popular food blog and best-selling cookbook Once Upon a Chef, Jennifer Siegel, showed me how to make these dishes from her new cookbook. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good, well, I love your new cookbook, Once Upon a Chef, Weeknight Weekend. You know what is so great too, when you flip through your book, I think sometimes with cookbooks, when you look through them, you're like, gosh, that seems like that would be an all-day thing to prepare that. Your meals are exactly that. You could get them done for dinner on a weeknight and not be, stuck in the kitchen for hours on end. Was that kind of the goal?
Yeah, well, the book is, it's divided into two sections, the weeknight and weekend.
Yeah.
So really quick and slow. So the weeknight section is full of quick and easy dinners that you can get on the table like in 45 minutes or less. And they're divided up into really fun chapters like soup for supper, which is actually one of the recipes of what we're going to do today, like mighty salads, breakfast for dinner, chicken winners, and so on. And then in the weekend section, those recipes are for you when you have a little more time to sort of putter around the kitchen and, like lazy breakfast recipes, popovers, scones, muffins, that type of thing, like slow cooking stews or holiday desserts.
Right. And then you also have a blog.
The blog is it's called Once Upon a Chef, and I've been doing that for, since 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I started it actually sort of as a hobby. I started it when my son went into kindergarten and he just left for college.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've been doing it a long time, but over the years it evolved and grew into a business, and that's pretty much what I do full time. The books too, but really the blog is where I spend most of my time.
So today, because it's starting to get, cozy and you want to cuddle up to a bowl of soup, we're going to do not soup and sandwich necessary, but we're going to make your corn soup, and then later on I'm going to make this incredible quesadilla that you've come up with in the book, and I'm going to make that to go along with it. But talk to me about your corn soup.
This is pretty much a basic corn chowder, only with a little bit of a Southwestern twist. So we're going to start with 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. So we're going to melt that in a large pot or Dutch oven. I love my Dutch oven. Then we're going to add the diced onion. This is about 1 medium diced onion. We're going to add 1 diced bell pepper, a minced jalapeno pepper. So then you're going to cook that mixture of vegetables for a few minutes, just until the onions are translucent. And you don't want to brown the vegetables. You just want to cook them nice and slow. Once that is done, you're going to add about a 1/4 cup of flour. And this is going to thicken the soup really nicely. But you want to cook out that raw flour taste. So you want to stir that up and cook it for about a minute.
And this will give it that perfect kind of creamy thickness we love in a chowder, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So once the flour is cooked, we're going to add 2 cups of chicken broth, about 1 cup of the milk. We're going to add the seasoning. So we have 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, a 1/2 teaspoon of coriander. Now we're going to add the potatoes. And I used a mixture of different color baby potatoes. You can use any kind of potatoes that you want.
Okay.
And then bring it to a boil. Then we are going to cover the pan and let that simmer for about 10 minutes. So while our potatoes are simmering and the soup is thickening, we're going to take the rest of the milk, which is about 1 cup, and 1 cup of the corn, and we're going to puree it in a blender.
So when you do the corn, do you leave any of the whole kernels behind? You do, right?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I just took 1 cup.
Got it.
We're going to add these later. So this has been simmering for about 12 minutes, and the potatoes are tender. So now we are going to add the corn puree. So this was 1 cup of the milk and 1 cup of the corn. The rest of the corn. So this is about 2 cups of corn.
Okay.
So you need about 4 to 5 ears of corn for this whole recipe. And then you really don't want to cook this that much longer, because the fresh corn really only needs just to heat it up. It'll be nice and crisp. Right before serving, you want to take it off the heat. So I'm going to turn this off. And then you want to stir in the sour cream And you're going to add some scallions and just the dark green part.
Okay.
Some cilantro, and that is really all there is to it. And you serve it with lime wedges, or you can just add some fresh lime juice right to the pot.
Oh man, this soup looks so good. It is so creamy, but the perfect thing, according to Jennifer, to go with this corn chowder is a shrimp poblano quesadilla. So that's what we're gonna do next because you need to dip. So I've got a skillet happening over here, and the rest of that butter we used for the soup goes into the skillet. The rest of the onion. So I reserved some onion, and then a couple of cloves of garlic as well. I'm gonna put our poblano pepper. So one poblano that I diced, and I'm gonna let these soften in the butter. To our poblano pepper and our onions and garlic. In the recipe, it's 1 tomato chopped, but I didn't have a tomato, at least a big one. So I just had a couple cherry tomatoes. Throw those in. Also, this is the best thing ever, chipotle and adobo. It's very spicy though. So I'm gonna err lightly on this one. I'm just gonna put like a teaspoon in there. Worcestershire, a little bit of Worcestershire going in. Cumin, a little less than a teaspoon. We're gonna put in our shrimp, and this is gonna be the filling for our quesadilla until the shrimp is cooked through, pink and opaque. Shrimp is done. That was very fast because the shrimp only took a couple of minutes. So take the mixture out. Either clean out the pan, or because I'm impatient, I'm gonna get another pan to make the quesadilla. Time to make our quesadillas. So I've got a little bit of olive oil in the pan. I'm using a non-stick pan. Cheddar cheese, mixture going in on one side because we're gonna do the fold over. Also gonna put a little cilantro in there and a squeeze of lime. Take the one end and we fold it over. Quesadilla is nice and crispy and cheesy. This is my kind of meal. So good. And this corn soup, quick. And it's like, there's a sweetness obviously because sweet corn, but delicious. What a combo. That corn chowder and quesadilla, killer combo. You gotta try it. Coming up, I'm making a tomato soup with avocado toast. But first, what kind of soup goes well with my favorite Reuben sandwich? I'll reveal a winning combo coming up next. We've gone over this before. I love a good Reuben sandwich, and I usually enjoy it on its own, but this time I paired it up with a soup. Take a look. It's our soup and sandwich episode. I always say this about everything, but my two favorite things. Actually, sandwiches are, I could eat whatever it is in between two pieces of bread any day of the week. Sandwiches are just, they combine all my favorite things. Condiments, cheese, bread. So today I thought, okay, what's a good soup to go with my all-time favorite sandwich, the Reuben? And potato leek soup actually was one of those soups that kept popping up. I actually Googled it. I'm like, what soup goes with with a Reuben sandwich? So a potato leek soup, and I would think, oh, maybe that's a little too heavy, but really this soup has just a touch of cream, but it's mostly veggie stock or chicken stock, potatoes, leeks, so it's not as heavy as it sounds. So we'll start with the soup, and I cut up a bunch and peeled russet potatoes. I think I had 8. So that's gonna be obviously the main ingredient for our potato leek soup. Just into, a big chop. And then in that bowl right there, I have a couple of leeks. The way I clean those leeks is you cut it down the middle and you just open it up, and I ran it under the faucet and just got in between every layer there to make sure there's no dirt. So that's kind of the prep you have to do with leeks. Let's move over to the stove. We'll get the leeks cooking first in the butter and the oil, and then we're gonna add the potatoes, let those cook in stock, and then we blend it. And it's pretty much that simple. So I've got some butter browning, a little bit of olive oil, and all of our leeks go in. Like a tablespoon of butter. And you're just gonna cook down your leeks. A little bit of salt and pepper, and just let them go. Let them get nice and caramelized. I mean, soft. I wouldn't say caramelized, but nice and soft. So our leeks are nice and soft. I'm gonna put in a clove of garlic whole because we're just gonna blend this soup up, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to chop your garlic. Potatoes going in, lots of potatoes. The thing about potatoes, they need a lot of salt. So a really nice fat pinch of salt, and then we'll check to see where we're at. I'm gonna give another drizzle of olive oil and a touch more butter. Kind of let these potatoes just have a minute in here. So that's gonna go, and then to that, vegetable stock or chicken stock. And I'm gonna use chicken stock because that's what I had. I'm gonna do 1.5 containers and see how that works. So just basically enough to cover your potatoes. The lid goes on, bring it up to a boil, and then we're just gonna cook it long enough until the potatoes are soft. The other thing I forgot to add, let's put in our bay leaf. When it comes to sandwiches, if I ever go to a deli, I'll always get a Reuben. And Reubens are usually corned beef. They've got the sauerkraut, the Swiss cheese, the Russian dressing. But this is gonna be with turkey. A little bit lighter, and it's also known as a Rachel, or on the West Coast, a California Reuben. So I'm gonna make a California Reuben using some sliced turkey and all the other things you know and love about a Reuben. Also, when it comes to bread, I love a marble rye, couldn't find it, but I have a dark rye. So it's kind of, it almost reminds me of kind of the mix between a pumpernickel and a rye. To make a good Reuben, you need the Russian dressing. So for me, I just do the mix of ketchup and mayo. Mix that together, easy enough. We got the sauce done. For the bread, to build a sandwich, so I'm gonna just build the sandwich on the board and put them in the pan. So I'm gonna cover both sides with cheese because that's how the bread sticks to the sandwich. Swiss cheese, of course, slices of turkey. We've got drained sauerkraut. I'm gonna add our dressing. Now, not too much because you don't want it to make a huge mess, but I'm also gonna serve it on the side. So I got one California Reuben in the pan, and instead of buttering the bread on the cutting board and it being a mess, I just put butter and a little bit of olive oil directly into the pan and then put these right in there. And that's it. We're just gonna wait for them to get nice and toasty and melt the cheese. Check on our soup, bubbling away. Our potatoes are soft. Bay leaf is gonna come out. And I finally bought an immersion blender, which everybody raves about, because then you don't have to do the transfer over to the blender. You just stick it in and you have soup. How easy is that? And this was $15. Game changer for soups. That was so easy. I love the immersion blender. Now is when you're gonna taste, see if you need more salt, you need, yum, that's good. Just a touch of salt. You don't even have to do this because it really is creamy. It's so nice, but I'm gonna just put a splash of heavy cream and our soup is done. This soup is, the texture is gorgeous. It's so silky and creamy, and it only has a splash of cream in it. You really don't even need it. It's got leeks and bay leaf, potato leek soup going in. And then it needs a little color, so I have some chives. I'm just gonna sprinkle some chives on top because it's potato. Pepper and potato go so well together, so some fresh cracked pepper. To our California Reubens with turkey instead of corned beef. That looks so good. Of course, on the side, because I'm a dip my sandwich kind of girl, some extra dressing. There's so many dunking opportunities here. Do I dunk in the soup or do I dunk in the Russian dressing? I'm gonna dunk in the Russian dressing first. California Reubens onto something. A little taste of our potato leek soup. Just a few ingredients and that soup is so full of flavor. That's a winning combo, potato leek soup and a Reuben. Gotta give it a try. Up next, besides grilled cheese, what goes perfectly with creamy tomato soup? How about grilled avocado toast with bacon? Then, remember when I showed you guys my guest room that was a makeshift pantry? I'm giving you an update on that room coming up next. One last soup and sandwich combo that I think you're really gonna enjoy. It's a creamy tomato soup and avocado toast. I don't know about you guys, but a good grilled cheese and some tomato soup is kind of what I would love for lunch every single day. But I've got maybe a healthier twist than a grilled cheese because honestly, I could eat a grilled cheese every single day of my life. But I'm gonna do a take on the soup and sandwich for lunch, and I've got this amazing sourdough bread. I'm gonna cut a thick slice, maybe too thick. That is one massive piece of bread. To the tomato soup. Now, tomato soup out of the can, I can't enjoy anymore. I have to make it homemade, and I think it'll be easier than you think. So in the oven, I have a bunch of tomatoes. All I did is stick it on a cookie sheet, bake it in the oven with some thyme, some shallots, some garlic. Boom. Olive oil, of course. And then this is kind of a trick when it comes to thickening a soup. Parsnip. Parsnip doesn't have a lot of flavor, but parsnip acts almost like a potato would, where it gives some body to a soup. So I'm gonna put that in with my tomatoes and see how it goes. All right, blender, we'll add our veggies, all of this going in. Thyme and all, stick it all in there. And this is actually great for when tomatoes are not at their best. And so when you roast them, they get sweet and juicy. And then our parsnip. I have 2 parsnips, cooked until nice and soft, some salt, some olive oil. To that, you could do veggie stock or chicken stock. And I'm gonna add some chicken stock to get it going. And now we blend. So what the parsnip did is make you think you're getting cream of tomato soup, but there's no cream. That's it, homemade tomato soup. Let's pour it in here just to keep it warm while we make our sandwich. And I might even add a little more chicken stock just to thin it out a tad. There we go. And that's the thing about a soup like this. If you have it on the stove, keeping it warm and it gets too thick, add more stock until you get the consistency you want. Stir that around. Beautiful. Now to our sandwich portion of our lunch. I'm gonna get my skillet going back here. Some olive oil and some butter. I'm gonna make an open-faced sandwich. What I like to do is toast the bread so it gets nice and crispy. Both sides. So we'll get that heated up. Avocado. So yes, I am making a take on an avocado toast. And I know a lot of people are over avocado toast. I am too, but this one has bacon on it. So I just made slices. Take a spoon. Try to scoop it out looking as neat as you can. And I always cut a little bit of lemon so my avocado does not turn brown. Time to assemble. Look at how gorgeous, that piece of sourdough, nice and crispy with the butter and olive oil. Then we've got our avocado. I'm just gonna tiny bit of salt because the bacon's very salty. And some pepper on our avocado. Try to make it as pretty as you can. Take our bacon and we crumble it or chop it up. You could put a whole piece on there too, but I kind of like chopping it up. With it, a bowl of soup. Soup and sandwich. I'm tasting the soup. It's crazy how the parsnip makes it taste like cream and tomato soup and there's no cream in it. I actually think even a little bit of cream in there would be amazing, but it's so good. Grilled cheese is the go-to, but this is a nice little twist in anything with bacon, really. On a cool fall day, that is what I want to come home to. And speaking of home, there's a lot of work going on around here. Here's a quick update on the house. Remember the room that was the pantry / guest room? We have, and Levi started the demo. Look at what he's done. So this used to be a bathroom. There's the tub. And what we wanted to do is kind of reconfigure this part of the room so we had access to the garage because there was no, and now we got a door. So this will be a guest room again eventually, but yeah, so some progress. It's good. Feel good about it. Maybe too early to predict, but I think Levi may just have a career as a future contractor. Well, that does it for us. Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next week.